Hello, everyone. My name is Striker Utasa, and welcome back to Rainy Day Discussion number 9, I want to say. I think it's 9. Pretty sure it's 9. We're talking multi today, and I actually have a different kind of video for y'all. I thought about doing a really big video on multi where it would be just like an hour-long video about how multi has a bunch of, pretty much everything you need to know about multi, like a general guide. But then I realized I've only done like 8 items in this video game. I'm probably gonna learn a lot more things about multi, like while this series continues. So I feel like I don't want to do big survivor videos until I get to like let's say I upload the multi video, and then the next day I do a video on freaking backup mags or like that, and I find the backup mags are insane on multi because of some weird interaction that I found. Just an example. I don't think that's going to happen, but just an example. So then the multi-video is already outdated. So I feel like I just need to wait a while to do a big multi-video. But to kind of do videos on survivors anyway, I'm going to start doing interview videos. Kind of like podcasts, where it's just like talking to a person who's really good with the character. Like Crescendo, the multiplayer that I have an interview with coming up in this video. He did a run as multi where he banned a lot of items, like a lot of damage items, like ATGs, sticky bombs, soldier syringes, Ronaldo's Kajaros. This was before 1.0. So before the nail gun buff or this multi in general buff, it's kind of insane how far he gets. Well, we're showing some footage of that. He has very little damage items. I think he had like Hellfire Tincture, and before Hellfire Tincture got buffed, I believe it got buffed in 1.0, right? I'm pretty sure. And he had Spinal Tonic as well, but that's pretty much his only. Those are pretty much his only damage items, and he gets insanely far. So that's the person I'm talking to. He's kind of a multi-expert. Tons of people in the Discord were like, "Hey, if you're making a multi-video, talk to Crescendo," and I was like, "Okay," and I did. So it's more of a podcast kind of vibe. So if you want to throw it on the background or something like that, go ahead. Uh, but yeah, it's a pretty cool discussion. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, we're recording. We're this is so freaking weird. Like I'm
Feels
not used to
professional.
I'm not used to this professionalism.
Okay, got it.
But yeah, this is a rainy discussion number 9. We're doing multi this time because I've already done a discussion on every single item and well, not every single item, well, every single item tier. Done equipment, lunar, greens, reds, whites. So I kind of want to start with the survivor, and I'm here with Crescendo.
That's me.
That is him. Or her. I don't know your pronouns, but
It's a him.
okay,
I don't have any of those type of pronouns.
okay. I just don't. I don't like assuming.
All good.
I'll cut that out of the video.
You're fine. You're fine.
But yeah, I'm here with the multi-expert apparently, Crescendo. I've heard a lot about you, fam. Man,
Thank you.
yeah.
I hope it's all good things.
It has been so far. I don't know. I might hear some bad things coming the end of this.
You could say that I have a bit of enemies here and there, but that's usually in the LFG side. General side, it's usually just me trying to educate people with here and there stuff.
Like you yell at them that a corpseman rack is 8 times healing. They yell back it's not, and then they completely ignore all the evidence that you put in front of them because that's.
And then there's the crowdfunder discussion.
Oh my god, dude!
Yeah.
I've had so many discussions where it's just like, why not just use the royal capacitor? It's like, fam, royal capacitor doesn't stack bleed. Royal capacitor doesn't proc ukulele is all. Like, excuse me.
Because what people like to think about with the royal capacitor versus crowdfunder discussion is that because crowdfunder doesn't stack equipment-based items like fuel cell and just of adrenaline and soulbound catalyst, it automatically makes it inferior. But people are avoiding the fact that crowdfunder can benefit from leaching seed and harvester sites, while the other hand, royal capacitor cannot. And they're completely avoiding that.
I'm definitely going to upload a full interview and then and I'll put a cut up one in the multi video because we already got off track.
It's fine.
And I
It's
feel like
fine.
this is gonna happen a lot.
It's fine. It's fine. It. I mean, the best way to describe why I pick multi over others is because I'm going to discuss other survivors and why they have, pros, while multi has this pro and a couple of rule breaks. So it's good to introduce that type of concept this early.
Oh yeah. So basically, a question I wanted to ask, because a lot of people have recommended me to talk to you about multi. What have you exactly done for the multiplayer base? Because they apparently, like, I don't want to use this word, but they highly, they see very highly of you, it seems.
Yeah, you could say that. I converted a lot of players into the multiplayer base because they tend to play this game more of a you get hit once, you're dead. Multi doesn't have that rule. Multi, you're getting hit all the time. There's no doubt unless you're running a more safer route, which is the double rebar or double scrap launcher, anything like that. But if you're mainly running power saw because of its observed damage, then you're most likely taking multiple hits.
Yeah, that's another thing I really want to talk. It's funny you bring up the actual second question I have in this notepad. What do you think is the most optimal loadout? And like, are all loadouts viable? Like, is double saw a thing that you can run and be successful with?
Personally, I have never tried double power saw. It's something that I think is a joke. You're missing out damage. Same with the double nail gun. Like people say, oh, you switch equipments, and then you're not missing out damage, which I believe is absurd because you're only activating it once. There's really like no missed damage. Unless you're always looking at the enemy 24/7 of the time, they should already be dead if you are looking at that enemy 24/7. So the optimal loadout for multi, for me, it is rebar puncher and power saw, because
Really?
I used to
Interesting.
run nail gun and power saw, but due to the recent buff to rebar, where it allows it to charge as soon as you switch to it.
Oh, he's gone. So you were talking about you running rebar saw, which I think is really interesting because they buffed the heck out of the nail gun.
Yeah, it did get buffed, but likewise to rebar puncher. The reason why I'm not really a big fan of nail gun anymore is that with multi, at least the way I play them, you kind of abandon your second weapon for the power saw above like stage 3, stage 4. It becomes more of a nuisance to hold than rather uh, just keeping the power saw because of the power saw's observed damage. Now there are cases where you can't run power saw, like you don't have any jumps with Hoopu Feather, or your healing is just not adequate enough to fight on the various enemies you're about to face.
You haven't found a
Yeah,
stride, stuff like that.
yeah, basically, or corpse blow.
I freaking love Corpse. So before we get off track, I just want to.
Good. Me
God,
too.
I was a huge advocate for that because I was mostly running Obliteration
Mhm.
back before 1.0, so I was a huge advocate for it already, and it just kept getting shut down by people saying it's bad.
Yeah,
And
it's unfortunate, really.
that's one of
People
the
think
reasons.
that somehow you're going to get 10 harvester scythe before like stage 10. Or you're always going to be left with a one-shot protection scenario. Like, if the rare case that you're always getting one-shot protection all the time, that just means that you either have a really weak build, or you're just putting yourself in a bad scenario all the time.
Or
It,
you,
it's
or you are, or you're Huntress with no infusions whatsoever.
or no infusions. Yeah.
That's another video I want to make eventually. Is a video just completely about one-shot protection because I feel like the community as a whole leans on it way too heavily.
Yeah, but to be fair, we've been stuck with the one-shot protection with Shape Blast all this time until launch 1.0, where Shape Blast finally got its one-shot protection removed. So now the community is kind of divided at the moment, saying like you don't want to build Shape Blast, but you want Shape Blast for the damage, of course. And then there's the risk, instead of everyone just leaning towards Shape Blast all the way, because there's no really downside, or rather you get an upside because you get one-shot protection faster.
Yeah, I really like that change to Shape Glass because I feel like it makes it not the best item in the game by far.
It depends on the context. For me, I think Shape Glass is still the best item in the game since it's the only item that can lead you to like 1 billion damage.
Hmm.
But compared to someone like building 100 crowbars, you can't even get close to that damage. And along with it, stacking with other items still.
That is true. It does increase base damage. Does actually? I don't know this. Does it do anything with Acrid's poison?
It does. It
Huh.
does. The Acrid's poison deals damage based on their health and
Oh
or
yeah,
not
you're
and
right.
or your his base damage, whichever is higher.
Oh, so you just have you just be proccing your base damage the entire time. We have gotten off track again. Let's go.
All good, all good.
So the next question is there any loadout that you think multiplayer shouldn't go for?
Um,
Double saw again, bringing that up.
yes. Anything with double except for rebar and scrap launcher. I haven't personally tested double scrap launcher, but I have tested double rebar. Now, people tend to have the misconception that rebar or double rebar puncher is stronger than power saw. I can agree to that to only pre-loop because the double rebar does not scale with attack speed at all, while power saw absurdly gets more stronger the longer a run goes on.
See, I didn't know double rebar didn't scale with attack speed. I thought that made retool faster.
That's it. That's all it does, but it's not by a good amount because retool is a cooldown based skill.
Oh yeah, you're right. Would purity or alien head boost that?
Not really because it's already at 0.5 or 0.6, I believe to be exact, but
So
0.5 is
it
like
boosted by zero point 0.1 then.
yeah.
Do you think multi is underrated or overrated? Because I've seen some players say multi is the best character in the game after 1.0, and I'm not sure if that's, in your opinion, true or not.
For the longest time, I always believed that Multi was the strongest survivor throughout all launch or throughout the whole
Really?
game, really. Of course, it's depending on the context. At launch, he was king or crowned the king because of how absurd his nail gun was, but that was due to a bug.
Oh,
He
what bug
got
was that?
weaker. The bug where if you activate Ocular HUD in nail gun, it'll always be active even if it's off. So it allowed him to infinitely proc 100% crit as long as you're holding down the button.
Oh, uh,
Yeah, it was
that
absurd.
actually I didn't realize that was a bug when I first played the game, and that actually carried my first monsoon obliteration.
They did say they did fix it, so it was a bug.
Wow, that's really funny, actually.
And then he got weaker, but I wouldn't say like the weakest when or before the power saw got introduced. As soon as the power saw got introduced, that was when his power level spiked. I wasn't a multi fan at the beginning. I didn't really like him because he was absurdly boring. He still kind of is, to be honest, because you're only holding one button really throughout the whole game. And compared to someone like Mercenary, where you're swinging all around, hitting everything, air units, ground units. It's not like that for multi when you're just walking to them, trying to kill them as fast as possible.
Huh. I mean, I can see your point with him being rather boring with just holding down one button.
I still love multi. It's just yeah, his gameplay is it's not the most exciting when you introduce it to a newer player.
That you keep bringing up future questions. That's like
Sorry
question
about
8. Question 8 is like, what advice would you give a new player that's hoping to pick up multi?
that.
Why?
Sorry about that.
Let's just, you know what? F the list. Let's just jump around it. I gotta censor that out. God dang it. But
You're fine. You're fine.
uh, I guess what advice would you give a new multiplayer?
Definitely unlock Power Saw. That's the primal, or that's the really the way you play multi because without the Power Saw, it makes them not really adaptive to builds because you need a lot of damage in this game. But Power Saw, you kind of can disregard damage for a long while because I did test a run where I was running a run with multi without grabbing a single damage item, or rather, all the damage items are blacklisted. They'll never appear on the run, like Focus Crystal,
Huh.
uh, ATG, and I was able to make it a stage 10 without grabbing a single one of them.
Good
And
lord! I knew.
yeah,
I knew. Like, you mean soda syringes as well?
Soldier Syringe, ATG Missile, Kiara's Rune Nodes when they were pre-launch. There was other items. I can give you the link if you want.
I would love that footage. That'd be great.
Yeah,
Is it footage or is it or what
it's
is
a
it?
whole gameplay.
Dude, that's gonna be
Whole gameplay.
great. I'll definitely show that off in the video. That you should have let off with that. That would show exactly
Alright.
how good you are at this character.
I didn't know what kind of interview this was.
Well, thankfully this is the first one of hopefully one for each character. So
Got it. Here's the link. Let me just read off the list because I did always alt tab to it to show which items were blacklisted. So
that's
it was
cool.
Soldier Syringe, Lens Maker, Paul Goat Hooves, Energy Drink, Tri-Tip Dagger for whites. For greens, it was ATG Missile Mark 1, Ukulele, Kieros, and Runo's Band, and Will o' the Wisp. It
Wait,
was
so
because of a challenge.
AP rounds was allowed, is what I heard.
Armor Piercing, yes.
Oh, okay.
But like something like ATG, Missile, Kieros, all of that are not allowed. I also limited myself to banning all legendary items because that's how I like to play my games, just not grabbing a single legendary because I think they make the game kind of boring due to the power scaling, which is
Yeah, I can see that with stuff like ceremonial daggers, just kind of playing the game for you once you get a kill.
Mhm.
It feels a lot less. I don't want to throw this word around, but like you don't have much agency after you get a build going like that. You just kind of run around and everything dies.
Yeah,
There's not much decision making there. You just kind of pick up whatever because it doesn't matter anymore.
yeah, you're just along with the ride basically.
Let's see, what other question do I have for you? So this is actually, God, these questions are so messed up now.
You're fine.
I have a question in here about how much does multi rely on one-shot protection? And we already went over that. Can multi tank late game with stuff like Transcendence, Shield Drens, and Infusions? Like, does he ever really get hit down the one-shot protection with stuff like that?
Regarding the first question, he absolutely doesn't really need to rely on one-shot protection. It's more of a gimmick that it does happen. You can absolutely build tank with multi since he does have the highest health in the game. Every single health-based items you pick up will benefit you far more compared to someone like Commando, Huntress, all of that, since he does have a really good base starting health and growth of health.
Dang. It's this is really cool. Again, going back to Power Saw, I've always heard this this ability was really bad because Multi's just not a melee character. But the amount of damage you can get out of it it's insane.
Yeah, people tend to think that when you're running Power Saw Multi that you're just purposely getting hit compared to someone like Mercenary where he has the iframes loaded with the M1. He has the highest health. You have 2 equipments. You gotta make do with that. People are just thinking that it's just Power Saw. You have no other items but Power Saw. And that's the common misconception of why Power Saw is not working for certain people.
It's a very closed-minded way of looking at the game.
Yes.
Where you're looking at it with basically through a box instead of thinking at the big picture. And I have, after trying it out on a few multi-runs, I am a huge fan of Power Saw. It is just a very fun ability, and it just does so much damage.
Yeah, the first time I laid my hands on it, I was just like, why did I get introduced to this before? Because before I was unlocking achievements, and Power Saw wasn't really the first thing that came to mind. I just saw it, I was like, oh, okay, just 1000%, whatever. And then you get launched into the game, and you're like, what? Why is this allowed?
Why is it 1000%? But it attacks this quickly. Excuse me.
Right, it's absurd, and I love it. That's how I became a fan.
Speaking of you becoming a multi-fan, apparently you've discovered a lot of things like the red whip on saw and like egg being able to be used while using your saw and stuff like that.
I'm not sure about me discovering the red whip, but the volcanic egg that I have discovered, it was unintentional. It was during a run of all artifacts on run, and I was able to discover because I was multi as the first pick, and it just looked weird that the power cell was still active, along with nail gun, that the
Wait,
volcanic egg was still running.
wait! Nail gun still runs with
Yep.
volcanic? I'm
Yep.
trying that right now.
It,
I'm getting into a game. I have the console up right now. I'm trying that because if that's true, that's incredible.
although I don't really recommend it, I always recommend power cell with volcanic egg if you're going for that specific build.
No way! That's so cool. What? Oh, that's so cool,
It is.
dude. That's awesome.
That's why I like to discuss that multi is more of the highest game breaking survivor. Like out of all the survivors, he has the most exceptions out of all of them. Like let's say you can't use red whip while combat except multi. You can't use volcanic egg while combat except multi. You can't run Just of the Drown with crowdfunder except multi. You know, it's he has all these exceptions to him that I feel like he's so unfair, but it makes them balance in a way.
It's so God. Multi is. I used to hate multi because I played a lot of multiplayer,
Mhm.
and I just saw because I play multiplayer and like every character prioritizes certain items. So if I'm
Mhm.
playing with a huntress, I'd give them crit bans while I would take on hits or something like that.
Mhm.
So we're both very powerful because they have bans and crit, and I have ATGs and Ziggy bombs stuff like that. But multi, he just seemed like he needed so much. Like he needed a lot of attack speed, he needed a lot of movement speed, he needed like Hopu feathers, he just needed a lot of items to be okay. But after I joined this Discord and after I started playing the game more, and especially after 1.0, I found that multi is actually one of the best characters for multiplayer.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Since multi has the highest adaptability to a game, because with the double equipment allows you to break certain rules of the game that's not supposed to be touched on. For example, my favorite combination, by the way, Spinal Tonic with Jester or Spinal Tonic with Hellfire Tincture, which increases Hellfire's damage, and the Spinal Tonic keeps
God,
you alive. It's
of
just
course it does. Of course it does. Why
and
would it
then you can
not?
run double tonic with one jester, and that's infinite tonic. Two tonics with three fuel cell, that's infinite tonic. It's like
Wait,
yes, so much
wait,
of it.
wait! Two tonics with one fuel cell?
It's two tonics, three fuel cell, but two tonics, one jester of the drown. That's infinite tonic as well.
Good lord, this character's busted.
That's why I like to say, but people always just say that it's just not working. But for me, it's always been working. But
Again, we're getting ahead of the questions because the next one was: Are there any lesser known interactions that multi has with items?
God, um, lesser known interactions, anything that he's not good with. For example, Alien Head, Brain Stocks, Bandolier, Crowbar. In a way, it does work, but I'm not a big fan of it. Not relying on Crowbar, but those three, Bustling Fungus for obvious reasons, Nukon's opinion, but everything else he either is really good with it or the best at it.
That's God. So did we go over advice for new players? I forget.
I believe so. Just to use double rebar for the time being, since the devs did say that it wasn't a bug and intentional. So just
Oh, that's
use
cool.
double rebar puncher and then run or unlock power cell. That's it.
I mean, how would you even if that was a bug? How would you even go about fixing that without
Uh,
nerfing rebar puncher?
I would say let it do like an animation for it charging, because right now what it does is it automatically loads it in as soon as you use retool. So it's already ready to
Uh,
fire.
yeah, that makes sense.
But I believe due to the double rebar puncher, a lot of people are switching to multi because of it, because it is kind of a lot of fun being able to push Whis into the wall or having so much knockback to a enemy, even the Twisted Scavenger, where you can push him off the cliff or off the
Wait,
map's border, and
wait,
then
you
you
can. Actually, you can push the Twisted Scavenger off the cliff with double rebar?
yeah, there's a lot of abilities that can push the Twisted Scavenger off the map's boundaries. For example, Commando's normal phase round, the one that penetrates.
We
Captain's
found a use,
M1,
baby! Let's go! We did it!
right. Rex obvious for the pushing ability, and I believe there was one more that I'm forgetting. I think it's
I'll never know! No! I'll never know! You, I think it's, and then you left.
oh,
That
I
was
was about to say
perfect timing!
I think crowdfunder, but you need a lot of attack speed
That was... Wait, crowdfunder doesn't scale with attack speed, does it?
for your other survivor because it gives that little bit of push.
Oh, okay. I was like, I'm gonna have to make an update video for the crowdfunder one then. If it scales of attack speed.
It's always 15 hits per second if you let it full spin for 2 seconds.
God, could you imagine if crowdfunder worked off attack speed?
That, I mean, it's really strong as it is, but giving it that extra boost, it would be, I believe, the most prioritized equipment if it allowed the scaling of attack speed.
I mean, when I'm going for 6mm, I prioritize that equipment very heavily. Because in 4th phase Mithrix, it gives you your items back just really quickly.
Yeah, it's absurd how much tax it is.
Actually,
What's
go ahead,
that?
sorry?
I'll go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was about to say, due to the amount of hits that Crowdfunder gives, since it's all about the quantity of hits with Mithrix giving you back your items instead of the quality of hits. So someone like Loader would get less items, while someone like MUL-T and the Crowdfunder gives you items the fastest.
God, I had a 6mm run a few days ago where I was just on top of Mithrix, just punching him as Loader with my M1. Just like, give me my items back! Oh, that was in a multiplayer run too, with 2 dead players, and I was just...
That hurts.
I was just like, please, give me my items!
Give me mercy.
So my last question here... well, one of the last questions anyway. Do you have any idea...
Sorry, can you say that again?
One of the last questions I have here is, do you have any ideas for new multi-abilities? Because I see he has... there's no alternate special, no alternate utility, and no alternate secondary. I don't think he needs another M1. Not gonna lie.
Yeah,
I think he's good. I think he's good.
Any new abilities? Let's see.
You've had to think of some.
Yeah, I already thought of some. For special ability, which is the read tool, I was thinking dual wielding, where it sacrifices your, what's it called?
Double
Your
equipment.
double equipment, but you can run double of the same skills. So you can run double power saw, which lets it do 2000%. You can run double rebar.
Busted.
Yeah, but like it allows you to have two different two different M1s. So you just switch it, but you won't get the equipment. I think that would balance it out because the equipment, it is a hard trait to pass since it does allow a lot of rule breaking and scaling issues with it.
Mm-hmm.
Utility, I've always been a fan of tanks, so anything that makes him slower, like reduce his mobility by % amount, but give him absurd amount of armor, like the transport mode right now.
Jack Phillips on YouTube, I think I'm saying that name right. On the Genesis Loop video, he commented an idea for multi-shift, where basically, have you ever played Overwatch? You know how Bastion can turn into his turret form.
Yeah.
Basically, just give that to Multi, where he just kind of gets rooted into the ground, gets a big armor buff. And it would also make Bustle good on him too, which would be interesting.
Give him a bit of a damage boost due to being rooted to the ground. In a game like this, where there's so much action all the time, you always want to be moving.
Yeah,
So
I love.
Needed.
I think leaning into the tank aspect with a character like Multi would be really cool. What about secondary?
Secondary, anything with AoE control or something that gives them something like a loader launch too, like a hook, because
Oh my god.
he really does lack the ability to launch himself to another person.
Could you
Uh,
imagine multi with loader grapple? Dude, that'd
that
be
would be
so
scary.
cool. You just
Because he is a construction bot, being able to fix stuff. I think a hook would be nice.
Oh, that would be so cool though. Like instead of you swinging, it would be more like of a just regular grappling hook. You grapple onto something, it pulls you towards it
Yeah.
instead of being
Or
able to swing around.
yeah, that would be interesting.
Just more mobility would be really cool for multi, and it would work well with the other shift that we talked about, where he'd have less mobility, so he would still have a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything you want to plug at all, like your social media? I'll probably have that linked in the description if you want.
I do have a YouTube. I don't really consider it as a hobby. I just post things that are interesting or challenges, and that's it. It's just Crescendo.
Okay, I'll have them in the description as well.
Okay.
Uh, so you want to talk about your Void Fields thing that you do?
Void Fields, yes, that is Champions Ring. I've been hosting this for 6 months now. Let's see, it was at March. I've been hosting it consistently, usually every day, 8 to 11 a.m. in Pacific time. That's when I usually start hosting, but there are some exceptions. It basically, we're only in the Void. Every other stage is just Void. So as soon as you
Wow, that's
complete a Void event, which is all 9 cell vents, we go back to the bazaar. You trade your items with using mods with printers spawning in there. You can also trade your items with cauldrons and even a new set of tier of items, but I'm getting ahead of myself there to let it be more advanced.
that sounds really cool. Not gonna lie.
I do have a champion ring session there, although I probably need to post more champion ring sessions as we do get goofy amount of interactions with the monster items like mild earn on with focus crystal on enemies. It is pretty scary. Like,
Okay, yeah,
yeah,
that's
it
not great.
is.
Guy,
But there's that.
I can't wait to do a video on Mired Urn. I feel like the item is very very insane, even in
It is.
multiplayer.
Although it being a boss item does hurt it a lot because boss
Yeah,
items in general are hard to get.
yeah, and that's why I'm kind of okay with Shatter Spleen, because it's an insane item, but it's also a boss item. If it was a green, I'd say we have to nerf the heck out of it.
Yeah, definitely.
God, could you
It's
imagine that thing being a green?
yeah, I did some bit of testing with it, and apparently it can do 100,000 damage when you kill Grove Tender in 60 minutes with full crit, of course. 100,000 when it dies, and that's applying
Oh,
it to everything nearby that's close to it. Will o' the Wisp can never get that much damage unless you're stacking crowbars, of course.
God, that is absurd. But yeah, I think that's it for the multi. If I have any other questions while making the video, I'll DM you. But
Okay.
that was a good first interview. I feel like that went well.
Really well. Besides a bit of internet disconnection, yeah, it was really well.
God, to be honest with you, man, I laughed every single time. I thought it was really funny.
A lot of my players like to laugh at it too. It's understandable. It can't be helped anyway.
Oh, let me know next time you do that. By the way, that sounds really fun.
Yeah, I do host at 11 or 8 to 11 a.m. in Pacific time. I can ping you if you want to do that.
I'm down. I'm free not tomorrow, but the next day. Then we can do
Okay,
that.
that's fine.
Heck yeah. Yeah, you
Alright.
have a good day, Crescendo. Thank you so much for the interview.
Of course, thank you for interviewing.
Bye.
Later.
So that was a multi-interview. I hope you enjoyed the kind of podcast vibe that we had going on. I hope to do more survivor videos like that in the future. If you know anybody who's really good with the character, or just seems like a character expert, something like that, send it my way. Because I'd love to do more. I love having conversations like that, especially with people who know exactly what they're talking about and can prove that know they know their character very well. For next video, we're going to take a look at Stun Grenade. So I feel like this item is very, very powerful, and a lot of people don't really care too much about it. With things like Ukulele, or is it there? Ukulele, and Crowdfunder you can kind of stun lock enemies really easily, especially really scary ones like glacial Elder Lemurians, like you saw in that Crescendo clip. That Crescendo multi gameplay, he kind of used his power, his saw to completely stun lock the Elder Lemurians, which was really cool. While watching the video, I was like, oh, he's so dead. But then Stun Grenade just kind of saved his life, like insanely well there. But yeah, we'll be talking about that next video. I am sorry for the delay on this one. I've had some mentality issues where I've just been kind of bummed out lately. But just keep putting it off. Especially since I wanted to make this huge multi-guide video. But then yesterday I was like, that doesn't make sense to do now. So I just went ahead and edited this one and uploaded it. But yeah, we're talking about Stun Grenade next time. And let me know what y'all thought about the interview format. I might do more of that in the future. I actually think I will do more of that in the future, depending on what y'all think. But yeah, that's going to be it for any discussion number 9, MUL-T. Have a good day.